Number 5. Neophobia. By definition, neophobia is the fear of anything new. Big businesses usually have this, so it's not uncommon. When you get to be a Fortune 500 company, you tend to be run by older executives who value tradition over innovation. So far, a company that's been around since 1923, that's not surprising. But Disney, like most every company, started out as scrappy kids going, "Yeah, well, I'm going to do it different and better than you, curmudgeons. You don't know what you're missing out on." And even well into his 60s, Walt was always fascinated with new technology and other toys. And yes, a lot of technology has changed and upgraded since then. You'd be hard-pressed to find anything as truly game-changing as Walt's audio animatronics, like the Kuka arm and robotics at Universal's Harry Potter. Not done by Disney. Universal beat them to it. Then there's the My Magic Plus and the Magic Band. Now, granted, it has a lot of pros and cons. It streamlines the admission, FastPass, and purchasing processes. You can now alter your FastPasses at will and has become something of a fashion statement. But it still boils down to a piece of tech that watches your every move in order to determine your spending habits, and makes it easier for you to spend said money. But my main point here is that Disney has spent over $1 billion on this new technology. Why? Why, when so many attractions need an upgrade? Or how Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom have 12 rides combined? Or failing to invest in some real innovative technology along the lines of, say, that Universal's Kuka arm robotics? All Magic Band is a tool to make a little more money for the company. And you want to know the sad part? Disney is still losing money off of it. No more attractions based on original ideas like the Haunted Mansion, Imagination, or Everest. And no real innovative ride systems. Fear of anything new. Number 4. Overpriced premium parties. So, not having anything new or innovative for guests at Disney isn't apparently a big deal. But those darn executives just seem to want more and more money. What to do? What to do? How about a $100 dessert party? You've probably seen them practically nightly at Magic Kingdom's occasionally open restaurant, the Tomorrowland Terrace, or at Hollywood Studios, where it's all themed to Frozen. Animal Kingdom did one for the Lion King's 20th anniversary called Harambe Nights. And Epcot? Pfft. Epcot is made for businessmen raising their glasses in jovial laughter as they enjoy a plethora of sweets while watching fireworks. Walt once set the precedent that Disney was meant to be accessible to everybody, and even people got in free on many occasions. But that was then. Nowadays, Disney is constantly worrying about their overcrowded parks, since now everyone goes to Disney parks. Prices were raised not just due to inflation, but also to keep wait times down and crowds to a minimum. But as we've all seen, it leads to usually a lot of very wealthy people and families inhabiting much of the park. To be fair, most of the dessert parties come with perks like reserved seating for certain shows. But aside from that, $100 is a bit much to have for just special show seating and a sweets buffet. But more to the point, it's just a cheap, temporary, pretentious application. It adds no intrinsic value and just further divides the line between the 1% and the 99%. Number 3. Over-reliance on intellectual properties in general. Like I said before, Disney is now focusing its new rides and attractions on established franchises and films. The last significant attraction added without any tie-ins is Expedition Everest at Disney's Animal Kingdom. And now, thanks to Universal's Harry Potter, Disney seems especially focused on making only attractions based on movies. Long ago, Disney used to excel at original characters and stories. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Journey into Imagination, Haunted Mansion, Space Mountain, the Tomorrowland Speedway, Astro Orbiter, the Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter, Spaceship Earth, Country Bear Jamboree, Hall of Presidents, Primeval Whirl. These attractions were not based off of established intellectual properties, but now that's a thing of the past. Disney was the frontrunner of themed entertainment, yes, but again, Disney also spent time with unique concepts that weren't exclusively theirs, Tom Sawyer Island being the prime example. But in recent years, Disney's touch seemed to be lacking. More still, Universal kicked Disney's keister with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. As a result, Disney's convinced the only way to make good returns is to make something based off of a relevant intellectual property. Smart move? I doubt it. Number 2. Homogenizing merchandise. Ever since 1971, Walt Disney World has strived to maintain itself as a wholly separate entity from its older brother in California. Sure, a lot of rides were the same, but that was purely tactical. People visiting Florida wanted a taste of the Disneyland experience. That's why people were upset when Pirates of the Caribbean was mysteriously absent for 2 years until 1973. And of course, merchandise is an integral part of the experience. Mouse ear hats, balloons, pins, autograph books, the list goes on. But next time you find yourself at a Disney Park gift shop, take a good look at the bag you get your stuff in. Seriously, because on one side it shows Sleeping Beauty Castle and the other side has Cinderella Castle, and both sides simply say Disney Parks. I guess this is a means to cut down costs, but this feels lazy. The bags used to be their own souvenir, kind of like those napkins with the park insignia on it. Come to think of it, the napkins don't have those anymore either. But it goes beyond bags and napkins. Have you ever picked up a t-shirt, pin, or water globe about It's a Small World? Have you noticed some of the little kids are actually Disney characters like Alice, Jose Carioca, or Mulan? That's because in Disneyland, they added the animated characters in their respective lands back in 2008, but Disney World has received no such update, and yet they continue to sell Disneyland merchandise at Walt Disney World. In the 2015 promotional artwork, the Jungle Cruise boats have Disneyland red and white striped canopies among Disney World attractions like Storybook Circus. But it's not just that. There was once a time when Pirates merchandise was only available at Pirates of the Caribbean, and Buzz Lightyear items only at Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Now, any merchandise can be found virtually anywhere. Figment pins can be found at Animal Kingdom, and Magic Kingdom t-shirts can be found at Epcot. This robs the park experience of uniqueness, and this is clearly less a service to guests than an attempt to maximize merchandise revenue. Kinda like those magic bands. And the number one crime committed by Walt Disney World is wasted space. I mean, come on, this is a no-brainer. Disneyland, at 160 acres, has about 50 attractions. Compared to Disney's World Magic Kingdom, there's about 35 in their 107 acres. Not bad, right? Well, let's look at Hollywood Studio and all its 134 acres. 16 attractions and only 5 rides out of them. Epcot's 300 acres and it has 18 attractions. And Animal Kingdom and all its 500 acres? 18. At least Animal Kingdom has an excuse. A good chunk of the land is dedicated to the animal enclosures, and you can fit all of Magic Kingdom in Kilimanjaro Safaris alone. But Epcot is hands down the absolute worst offender. In fact, here are the park maps I've marked up with the help of a cast member friend who was able to help me avoid marking the cast member only usage areas. Here's Animal Kingdom. As you can see, has very little wasted space. There's a lot of cast member backstage areas and the Discovery River impedes a lot. But the most wasted space is clearly the path between Africa and Asia. The rest is just kind of filler where there simply isn't much. Besides, Animal Kingdom needs foliage to be Animal Kingdom, doesn't it? Hollywood Studios is much, much worse off. Of course, the backlot tour helped, but what about Streets of America? Now that filming there no longer happens, what is the purpose? The Echo Lake building is home to a defunct American Idol and has sometimes used ABC Sound Studios, but it's not really being used either. And the Path to Fantasmic? It's just a path. And they're really not using it for anything? But Epcot? Holy cow, look at it! Aside from all the spots in between the World Showcase pavilions, what about all the space on both sides of the Land Pavilion? Odyssey Center? World Showplace? Wonders of Life? Just festival centers for rich people. In fact, because these old pavilions once were sponsored, they all have special rooms and viewing chambers for the sponsors' executives to just watch guests come and go and spend their money. We just couldn't illustrate them on this map. But what about these big spaces in Future World? Currently, just walkways. There's room for 2 or 3 whole ride systems in the Future World walkway areas. Why aren't these being utilized? Guests are pretty vocal online that Disney needs more rides to stay ahead of the curve, but instead, Disney wastes its money and research on things like magic bands. Why? What does Disney have to gain from it aside from the short term? Not losing money. Worse, Universal is watching Disney sit around and do nothing and is taking this opportunity to even out the competition. Simpsons, Transformers, Harry Potter, Despicable Me. They're coming up like weeds, and Disney is wasting time and space doing all of nothing. Come on, Disney, you're better than this. Step up your game. Universal is catching up fast, and you can't afford to lose to them. But if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to fall behind. And you certainly can't afford to disappoint your legions of fans. And speaking of Universal, fret not, Disney fans. Next time, Tap G will do his list of the top 10 crimes committed by Universal Orlando. I'm SurferClock, and I'm fed up.